the several contexts in which we find ourselves, conflict, post-conflict situations, having a very high toll, HIV/AIDS prevalence, and probably one of the highest levels of HIV/AIDS infection in sub-Saharan Africa and probably in the world, and as a consequence, quite a number of HIV/AIDS orphans, and also with very high levels of poverty in the country. We've been having, violence is definitely a very serious problem within this context. But what the real problem is on the prevalence. There is no clear understanding on the level of prevalence within all these three different contexts. I think this is where the real gap is on the prevalence. My understanding is that we have a knowledge, we have some bit of understanding on what violence is within the households and in the communities, but what we cannot put our finger to is the level of prevalence. Our current focus in terms of child protection agencies is on a systems-based approach, strengthening systems at the national, subnational levels to be able to respond to child protection issues. But I actually think we are missing the point, that we probably may need to restructure this. Because in terms of our work, we actually need the evidence to be able to arm the duty bearers to do their work. The system should be able to operate from a point of knowledge, from a point of information. We actually do not have the specifics, not just in terms of the prevalence, but also the impact. We need to be able to do this because once in a while we are getting images in the press, in the media, on violence against children within the household and in the community, and we are flat-footed. It still exposes a gap in terms of the community, in terms of the systems, in their response, in probably also their attitudes. So in doing this, we must, in my opinion, put the priorities first. Let's get to know the prevalence and the forms in which it manifests itself and the impact. Within all this context of poverty, conflict, and HIV/AIDS, we should be able to make a case on this. And then secondly, also, within our systems-based approach, well, we do have a focus on community-based systems, but I actually think, we are missing the point here as well. Because part of the problem is that we have a focus on systems we as child protection agencies have created. So we define what child protection is, create community-based systems, in my opinion, which are not comprehensive or sustainable over the long term. Because what we are missing is in terms of the informal systems and the traditional mechanisms. We are not tapping into these systems. We are not tapping into the social capital, as it were. We are not tapping into the positive parenting aspects that we could be able to use to strengthen our child protection systems. So, to me, if you would ask me, where would we focus in terms of the learning group, the child protection learning group, establish prevalence, and the second one to me is on the informal systems. How can we tap or harness into the informal systems in terms of their knowledge, on the positive parenting skills that we could be able to adapt as part of a national child protection system that is responsive, that is appropriate contextually in terms of the culture, in terms of the attitudes of the people, in terms of the practices of the people. Positive, I do want to understand, yes, that we as agencies also want to change negative practices, but we should, and not everything is negative in my opinion. We have a lot of systems and in place that could be used in terms of parenting skills, as I have highlighted, and also generally the social capital that has been developed over time that is useful, not just as a moral reservoir in my opinion, but also as a tool in child protection. So we should be moving away from this element where we think we have the definition for child protection. Let's harness the potential and agency of the communities